Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I'm Kate, WWCode Tokyo director, and I have been working as an AEM, Adobe Experience Manager. That's, let's say, leading, world #1 reading CMS from Adobe. I am the AEM developer using Java since February 2018. But most importantly, I'm quite a newbie in the software development world. Please allow me to briefly tell you or remind you a little bit about my journey into tech field. 2 years ago, I had no clue what a terminal was, neither text editor nor Java. After a few years in traditional businesses, the idea of learning coding came to me as I realized that instead of wasting time looking for apps that would only partially satisfy my needs, I could actually create them on my own. Moreover, from my past experiences, I knew that programming skills would make me a valuable asset to a lot of companies in different sectors. I thus joined a tech expert coding school in Shibuya on November 11th, 2017. And here I am celebrating almost a year as a professional AEM developer. Coincidentally, Lena recently told me the title of our next event would be Careers in Tech Keep Moving, and asked me to talk about career development. When I heard this topic, one thought immediately came up. Motivation is vital to keep moving. That topic was quite timely. I was looking for ways to keep my spirits high in period of stress, and high activity happened to be a central question since my first day as an AEM professional. Over the past few months, I have read a lot of articles from Harvard Business Reviews or Lifehackers and so on about motivation management. However, reading is not enough. One also needs to find a way to implement principles that foster motivation into their daily lives. So tonight, I will give you a little break from the hardcore software development, and I will share tips that actually helped me retain my motivation during the toughest moment of my 10 months old career in software development. Before we go through my tips, however, let us just briefly pause and think about the reason why we feel overwhelmed. I want to ask, how many of you have had such a feeling at your workplace? Very well. So what follows might interest you. Let me introduce the 4 Ds, which together summarize why pressure on our back seems to have increased lately. These 4 Ds stands for, first, demand for agile. Increasing reliance on agile software development, which is characterized by adaptability in an ever-evolving environment. And digital velocity. Due to digital technology, the increasing speed of information and communication, as well as the acceleration of digital transformation, sometimes leave us a bit lost. Daunting competitiveness. Our field is made up of high competent developers who deliver a high variety of solutions in different domains. We need to keep up with them. Desire for high quality. With the many great high-quality website systems or software available for free to the public, the customer's expectation has increased. Okay, so please do not run away. Tonight is not about freaking out people. Let's us establish a fact here. It is normal to feel overwhelmed these days. We all do. Therefore, as it is becoming inevitable, it is best to focus our energy in finding a way to tame this feeling instead of needlessly suffering from its consequences. Hence, what follows. Tip 1. Subdivide a task. Take a habit to subdivide your assignments into smaller, identifiable tasks, and you will immediately understand what needs to be done and when, as opposed to looking at the project as a whole. For example, try transcribing what you're working on into short sentences. The shorter the sentence, the clearer the priorities. This is the core of work breakdown structure. It is simple but critical. I have been involved in about 3 projects so far. Whenever I receive a new one, it often feels like an unclimbable mountain. My short-tempered brain has the exhausting tendency to seek as much information as possible, as quickly as possible. But we all have limits. Unlike computer CPUs, human brain is not constantly optimized for complex multitasking. Therefore, I set goals every day and subdivide my projects into action items so that it does not become an unreachable or abstract goal. Tip 2, ownership. Even though you are not a project owner, you can and always should retain ownership to your project. It is especially crucial in cases of customers who keep insisting on details and requirements that you think will hamper the quality of the final product. As weird as it may first sound, you cannot always follow everything that clients say. This will ensure that you still have a drive for what you're working on, that you are still motivated to give your very best. Personally, I often prevent such disagreements by spending time doing prior research about the customers and coming up with a vision that matches their values and position in their field. Moreover, my role as a professional is also to suggest a good practice of development and provide them with personalized advice. That being said, I still regularly consult with the client to ensure that what I'm working on isn't totally opposition with what they expected, and that I can go forward with my ideas without risking a major backlash. Make sure you balance these 3 dimensions carefully. Tip 3, analyze yourself. To figure out why you feel down and why there is so much pressure on your back, simply ask yourself what is at the origin of that feeling. By doing a little self-introspection, which isn't always easy to do in Japan, you will identify the source of your problems. Simple advice, but yet often ignored by many. As for me, I realized that I was terrified of making mistakes, of being rejected, and feeling incapable. Let's take the first one. My fear of making mistakes has often prevented me from achieving an objective and following up on a project with peace of mind. There is a little nasty voice in my head that tells me that I have not spent enough time on it, that I should have double-checked that one last time, or that the clients were disappointed by my amateurism. However, ever since I put a name on this discomfort, I had for some time I have read about the cognitive behavioral therapy, which enabled me to analyze more rationally whether or not the stressful situations I am in deserve such concern. Unfortunately, I will stop short from providing more general advice here, as every single of you in this room is a complex and unique human being. Tip 4, remember your purpose and goals. Yet another obvious but a necessary tip. Try building a long-term vision. This will be the fuel to your career and will lead you to make professional and educational choices that will not only be wiser but more fulfilling. As for me, what I aspire to do is to boost the digital transformation for the general population. I believe there should not be the gap between people with and without technical background, as technology improves when all sectors of society are involved. That is why I chose to become an Adobe Experience Manager developer, which involves helping non-technical people to set up websites and operate their online activities. So whenever I feel overwhelmed, I remember my core purpose, and it gives me the boost of confidence I need to get one step closer to my goals. A clear vision of why you have chosen this field can help you go through the toughest challenges and the difficulties. Simply put, a job that fulfills you is the job where you feel legitimate, even if it is a bit overwhelming sometimes. So, if we want to summarize, these were the 4 tips I use whenever a gigantic amount of tasks prevents me from delivering what I was entrusted to. I suppose everyone has their own magic formulas, so I would love to hear about them during the networking session. To conclude this presentation, I strongly believe that the learning to cope with the dark side of your job is crucial to keep progressing with your career plan. Why so? Because I, as the director of WWCode Tokyo, want to make our community as inclusive as possible. B2B for a positive and a negative aspect that our members have to face every day in this field. Indeed, I want us to create a space where members truly feel comfortable to exchange their experiences and where they can interact to find solutions for all kinds of challenging situations. Last but not least, there are specific demands for women regarding their work style. As Mike said, we need to change existing system. Feeling comfortable and stimulated is the most important factor to ensure that they are willing to stay in tech field. The models we can build together can then serve as a basis for companies willing to engage more women. Thank you so much for your listening.